So I think there's a little bit more that meets the eye. Stress is a huge factor, and we'll start there, and then I'll talk about maybe some other things that contribute to IBS. So when it comes to stress, and I tell this to all my patients, when your stress is on, your digestive system is turned off. We have two different nervous systems. One is the sympathetic. That's your fight or flight. That's what's activated when you're stressed out. Your body is worried about sending energy to your lungs, to your heart, to your eyesight, to keep you focused, to keep you alive and in survival mode. Our other nervous system is our parasympathetic nervous system, and that one is called our rest and digest nervous system. It only functions when we're calm, we're quiet, we're comfortable. And so I find that a lot of people, we could do things differently on a day-to-day basis to support our gut health with how we eat. And when we eat is very important. And so a lot of people I find they eat rushed. They eat on the go. They'll eat standing. They're in their car. They're walking. They don't actually appreciate the time that it takes for your body to register that food's going to come down the hatch and go into your stomach. So lifestyle changes that we can do to help calm our stress levels down so that we can break down our food better is to sit down to eat. Chew each bite 20 times. By the time your food signals come from your mouth and hit your brain, your body's going to say, oh, wow, there's food coming down the hatch. It's going to send a signal to the stomach and say, stomach juices, you need to start releasing, talk to the digestive system to prepare that process. So it should generally take you about 20 minutes or more to eat your meal. And I bet you on average, everyone's scarfing down their food in about 5 minutes, maybe 10 if we're lucky. So that's one thing we can really start doing is when you sit to eat, please sit, calm down, take a couple deep breaths and relax into like, okay, I'm getting ready to eat now. Chew your food and take your time. And that can help calm your stress levels down in that moment. Breath is powerful, so don't underestimate that. And I want to give you an example of that. Imagine you're driving a vehicle. You almost get into a car accident. I mean, instantly your hands lock up, your eyes get really big, your heart starts to pound. You're in sympathetic fight or flight nervous system. It happens in a split second. In the same way that we can go into sympathetic and that fight or flight, we can bring ourselves back down into rest and digest. And it's as simple as taking a couple deep breaths. So I always tell people maybe 3 seconds in, you can pause at the top. Your exhale should always be longer. So that would be either 4 to 6 seconds, but your exhale needs to be longer because that's the exhale that tells the body, I'm relaxing now. Okay. So do that before you sit down and eat. So that's the whole stress connection. Absolutely huge part. Those are some measures people can apply today. Now, when we talk about some other things that's kind of out of our hands, right? IBS is right now, the statistic is about 1 in 5 people. They even say it could be even more than that now, 1 in 4. Where IBS, to describe for people who are curious, are conditions where you might have bloating, acid reflux, nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramping, constipation, diarrhea. These are your typical kind of gut symptoms, but there's also some other symptoms that aren't related to the gut. We can go into that later. But just so people could identify IBS, what is causing it in our day-to-day? What are we doing in our lifestyle? I think the first problem that we have is antibiotics is the biggest issue. And this is antibiotics that we get from our doctors when we get sick every season. It's been better. Doctors are less likely to prescribe antibiotics now. They're realizing the challenges with it. But that is like an atomic bomb to your gut. And there has plenty of research out there that shows that when you take an antibiotic for one course, it could take anywhere up to 2 years for your gut to recover from that issue. Because antibiotics are killing the bad guys, but then they're also killing your good guys. And the guys that are left are the strong and ugly and mean ones. And they're the ones that can cause a lot of those issues. So on top of that too, when you take an antibiotic, you're killing the bacteria. And what that does is it creates an imbalance now in our gut. And now our fungus and our yeast overgrows. And this happens to a lot of women when they take an antibiotic. They get a vaginal yeast infection and they have to take another pill to bring down the yeast. And that's because this imbalance has created. It's like almost like your police force kind of went away and now the fungus comes out to play a little bit more, right? So no one's watching them. So this is where the gut imbalances start to occur. So antibiotics that we get from our doctor, but then we also don't realize that we're getting antibiotics in our meat supply. About 70% of the United States' delivery of antibiotics goes to raising animals because they're not raised in healthier environments. They're confined too close together that they need to give them these medications. So my recommendation there is to find a local farm, get grass-fed, pastured, and organic meat, because if it's organic, it is illegal to use antibiotics in that food product. So that's a measure that everybody can take now, is to find a local farm. And so there's a bunch of places that you can look up around you. So that's antibiotic story.